Hello, 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 hello. I hope you're doing well. And we said that we're going to do live, and we are starting with the live session. Okay. So I'm waiting for a couple people to get in. In the meantime, just waiting. Come on, people, get in. Yes, there's already one person. Okay, we can start. Even with one person only, we will start. Okay. So let me see the chat. Trying to see the chat room. Okay. Yeah, if you can hear me, just say hi. We are going to do live sessions. We are going to take questions, but before, I'm going to go into a couple news. We have a lot of news, but since we have a full week for live session, 5 days, today we are going to talk about 3 topics only. And then tomorrow we'll talk about some other topics. And then the day after, we'll talk. Hi, I can see you guys now. Hi, hi. So let's get right into it so we can get to the questions as soon as possible. So let me share my screen first. So I'm sharing my screen. The first topic is this one. Biden administration cancels Trump limits on asylum eligibility. This is huge. This is very huge because we know asylum under Trump was really under attack. Basically, what happened was there was a asylum based on a particular social group, and the Trump administration tried to limit some claims. For example, violence against women claim. For example, if you've been attacked based on belonging in a gang type of group, and then you left the group, and now they want to attack you later on. Family member, just type of conflict. Under Trump, they said those were private conflict, and it had nothing to do, those conflicts had nothing to do with asylum claims, and they were barred. But now we go back to the way it used to be. So pretty much if you have an asylum claim based on a particular social group that were previously banned, you can go ahead and file your asylum case. But remember, asylum has to be filed within 1 year. And if a 1 year has passed, you have to have an exception to be able to really substantiate your claim. So this is it. This is what's going on. And pretty much Attorney General Merrick Garland on Wednesday, pretty much it was last week, so rolled back a pair of Trump administration legal decisions that had narrow access to U.S. asylum system. Okay, so they went back, and then those people. So basically, Garland's, the new Attorney General decision, vacated Trump era ruling that had limited asylum eligibility for immigrants fleeing gangs or gender-based attacks, which his administration characterized as private forms of violence that did not constitute membership in a persecuted social group. So they wanted to really, they did that under Trump. Really, you couldn't really apply for asylum based on belonging in a particular social group. But now they're back to where it was, especially with violence against women. And this is very important. This is huge because now, you see, it says here, U.S. allows immigrants to seek asylum if they fear persecution on the basis of their race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. So this category, the latter category, is subject to debate between those who want a narrow definition of social group and others who assert it should include victims of gangs and domestic violence. So basically, let's say you were back home and you were a victim of domestic violence, whether it's from a husband or spouse, or from parents, or just family members. I mean, right now, somebody can actually apply for asylum based on that, because we went back to the old rule, the broader definition, the way it used to be. So this is really a great news. And on top of it, there is another news. This is really pertaining to, let me go here, pertaining to people from Liberia. So the USCIS has later on clarifies evidence requirement under Liberian Refugee Immigrant Fairness. So this program has been actually, basically, if you're part of this program, first you have to be a Liberian, and then this program has been extended until December 20th, 2021. It was previously stopped, but Congress has extended this program. So now the evidence, they're trying to clarify what is the evidence that they can take in order for you to prove that you are from Liberia. They say the example includes but are not limited to expired Liberian passport, baptism record or other religious documents, school record or medical record. USCIS will evaluate all evidence an applicant provides, including the applicant testimony during an interview, to evaluate their eligibility for adjustment of status. So under Section 7611 of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2020, certain Liberian nationals are eligible for permanent resident green card. So certain, not all of them, but certain. Spouses, unmarried children under 21, and unmarried sons and daughters 21 or older, or eligible Liberian national who are principal applicant also may be eligible for a green card. USCIS will accept properly filed application from this applicant until December 20th, 2021. So this is really pertaining to a Liberian. I'm not gonna take a long time because we don't have too many, but if we do, just you know how to contact me, okay? Then we have this news. Basically the address has changed for Vermont. Address has changed starting on June 25th. Those are the new address. So those are the new address I highlight here. Those are the new address. So basically you can just go on the USCIS website and see the address there for Vermont Center. Okay. And the latest news again, when it comes to immigration reform, this is the latest article 4 days ago. It says that the Democrats eye $6 trillion plan on infrastructure, medical, and immigration. So basically the Democrats are trying to see whether they can actually put something into this infrastructure bill late in September, because you know they're going to vote for a new budget end of September, I believe. So they want to see whether they can find a way to integrate immigration reform into that bill, infrastructure bill. And the argument is that they can raise revenue from those applications. They're talking more about dreamers. They're talking more about essential workers. Pretty much that's what the article is saying. If you really read it, I'm going to leave the link. Yeah, at some point I'll leave the link after this thing. So basically dreamers, and then trying to see if they can get its essential worker. And this is pretty much like a bipartisan deal. Well, you can go ahead and read the article, but in essence, what the article is basically saying is that Democrats are trying to see whether they can, during this budget proposal or budget, pretty much voting for a new budget for next year in September, whether they can put immigration reform, at least another, rephrase it differently, reword it differently so that it can be so appealing, because you know budget is all about what you're going to spend, and the infrastructure bill is about rebuilding the American system. But how does immigration come into play? So they say it's going to raise revenue if we allow those people to get U.S. citizenship or legal status, temporary legal status. Then they will pay those fees, those penalty fees, those application fees. It's going to raise revenue. So basically that's how they want to phrase it. On this one, I'm not gonna take too long because we just have to wait and see how it progresses. Okay, let's wait until September and see how it progresses. So let me go back now to take questions. Questions. Let me start from the beginning. Questions. Oh, yeah, Akif Virani. What is new on immigration bill? Well, what is new is that in September, they are going to be voting on the budget. And then basically the Democrats are trying to see how they can rephrase it, reword their bill so it can be part of this infrastructure bill. Mostly they're talking about dreamers and essential workers. I'm not sure about 11 million, but they mention legal status. Remember with the 11 millions, they're talking about the legal temporary status. I forgot the way they phrase it, but that temporary status. So the argument is that if they open up those paths to U.S. citizenship, then they're going to raise a lot of revenue and it's going to benefit the economy. So that's what we're waiting for. And hopefully it does. So what about people denying how those can fix their cases? Mustafa, denying of what? Need TPS from the US. Oh, Palestinian needs TPS. Of course they need TPS. Even people from my country, the Congo, they need TPS, but they never got it. This is so sad. So what about people whom they deny and how they can fix the cases? Deny of what type of cases? Mustafa, what type of cases specifically are you talking about, referring to? So you need to give me a good referral point so that I can talk about. So usually if you get denied a case, they'll send you a letter. Oh, asylum. Okay, so let's say your asylum case get denied. On what stage? At the U.S. officer final order. You can apply for. Yes, you can apply for. Okay, let's start with Mustafa. Okay, Mustafa, if asylum case get denied, usually at the U.S. office they refer it to the immigration court. Okay, at the immigration court, somebody becomes in removal proceedings. They keep arguing for withholding of removal, or if they have another type of relief like cancellation of removal, they can argue for it. If it gets denied there, then they go all the way to appeal, BIA, so the Board of Immigration Appeal. If you get denied there, some people go to federal court. So some people don't give up until they go all the way to federal court, try to find a way to get it there. So those are possibilities. If you can keep going. But some people then at some point they just give up and then just wait until one day they becomes eligible for some type of adjustment of status, maybe to their children or spouses or any type of those reliefs. Final order of removal can apply for prosecutorial discretion. Yes, prosecutorial discretion. Prosecutorial discretion is basically just the power of the government to drop the case. And they say that they can drop the case if they want to, but they're looking at some criteria. For example, if the person is pregnant, the person has health issues, serious health issue, if the person has been here for a long time, if the person is a caregiver. So those are the criteria. They'll look at it, and then you can ask them to see if they can drop the case. So that's a prosecutorial discretion. And remember, it says discretion, so it's up to them to decide based on your argument whether they will drop the case or not. So can I Tiamiyu, can I reapply for asylum case after being refused? If you have another claim, you can apply, but mostly people appeal all the way to district court, federal court. So with a judge, and we made appeal. And okay, so you made appeal. Have you gotten your response from the appeal yet? So Mustafa, have you gotten your response from your appeal, the appeal yet? You have to wait from the appeal and see if you get a response. hold on, let me go back to this person. I was Tiamiyu. I was written in the letter, I didn't specify my group. So well, you can always amend your asylum application until the date of the interview. So if that's your question, you didn't specify, you can always specify until before the date of the interview, or at the date of the interview, the same date, you can really amend your asylum case. So there's no problem with that. My father wants to file for 85 under EB2. He was born in Mumbai, India in 1959. Well, has he filed yet? He doesn't have a birth certificate, but he has a living. Yeah, he can, Vihani, he can use all the proof that he has. So now it's going to be up to USCIS to accept them, those documents. So kindly advise if this document will be sufficient for submission. Birth certificate, if you don't have birth certificate, then you have to show something that shows that he was born there. So all the things that you listed, Virani, could be sufficient. So it's just up to USCIS to decide now. Hi, what about people with intent to removal? What about them? What happened to them? What is the question? Not yet now, more than 4 months. Oh yeah, Mustafa, those appeal can take up to 2 years. So you still like you still have like 8 months left. So it can take up to 2 years, those appeal. Right now it's really taking that long. So just wait and see what they're going to say. At what point can asylee apply for green card? It has been 2 years, but no word from the court or the USCIS. So the asylee can only apply for a green card after the asylum has been granted. So if the person is being granted asylum from the USCIS office, 1 year from that granting of asylum, that's when they're eligible to apply for a green card. If it hasn't been granted yet, unfortunately, no, until the person has some other venues. Maybe some people get married to adjust status. So, but other than that, they just have to wait until it gets granted. So the appeal now is, yeah, Mustafa, you just have to wait for the appeal. It's taking for at least 2 years. Tiamiyu, if somebody has been referred to immigration court, that's where they're going to decide whether your asylum case is valid or not. And if you have other form of relief, you can apply for them there at the immigration court. Some people do adjustment of status based on marriage or children turning 21. So I don't know your situation, or just wait for the judge to decide on your asylum. Cancellation of removal, that's for people who have been here for 10 years. Before the 10 years is counted before the date they receive the notice to appear. I'm in with withholding of removal. Yeah, if you have withholding of removal, you can't just adjust status like that. You have to have something else outside of granting of withholding of removal to adjust status. But if you have been granted asylum, you can adjust status after 1 year from the granting of asylum. Since 2005. Wow. Then 2005, cancellation of removal comes. The way you count those 10 years is basically prior to you receiving the notice to appear. Oh, you want to know if the appeal will treat the case according to the new regulation? Yes, they'll treat the appeal according to the new regulation. That's when pretty much if they don't treat it like that, you can go to the federal court. Because the new regulation says that they can use discretion to just drop the case if people fit into those categories that I just cited. So if they don't treat it like that, you can still go to federal court. You leave the BIA and you go all the way to federal court. So, oh, does the Biden pathway to citizenship cover asylee? Yes. If there's, so basically when you talk about asylee, is you're talking about the person who hasn't been granted, right? Because if you get granted, then you are already, you don't need that. So if you're an asylum applicant, then yes, it does cover, because up to now the person still is being considered undocumented. Sorry, I can't really talk today. Do you mean that the people with domestic violence have more chances to win according to the new? Well, I'm not saying that they have Safir Kabibi. I'm not saying that they have more chance to win. I'm saying that previously that category was right off under Trump. So now we went back to it. So if the cases are legit, then they will win. Not just because they come from domestic violence, but they will win based on the basic credibility of the case. So what I'm saying is that under Trump, the people didn't even have the chance to apply for asylum under that category of domestic violence, because Trump, they really want to narrow with that category. Okay, but now it's open. So you have an vow approval, but you also have an old final deportation. That's Makan Traore order from us. And my motion, well, now you can go again and try to reopen it because of this prosecutorial discretion. Because if you have a VAWA approval, then you're pretty much in a different type of category. So motion to reopen was denied in 2019. Try again this time around because of this prosecutorial discretion. And based on the fact that you have a VAWA approval, it could help the case to be reopened so that they can just cancel that removal. Thank you. So any more questions? If we don't have questions, I'm just going to stop. You need to ask questions. If y'all don't have questions, well, I'm going to stop, and tomorrow we'll come back again for another session. Yeah, I put it 1 hour because I didn't know if people will have more questions or not. So if people don't have more questions, what are we going to do? And stop and come back tomorrow with different topics. So if somebody wants to know about what's really going on with those Biden reforms, so basically what's going on is that we just have to wait until September. So do you have a attorney in Dallas that can represent me? No, unfortunately, I do not know not anybody in Dallas. I don't really know. I know somebody in New York, but I don't know anybody in Dallas. But you can always use like referral and go to the American Immigration Lawyer Association and get referral from there. So they're pretty good with giving referral. So what I was saying is that if somebody really wants to know about what's really going on with this, all those bills, DACA, Dreamers, TPS, pathway to U.S. citizenship, 8 years, whatever, what we all need to do is wait until September. So what's happening currently is that the Democrats, they're trying to see how they can better present this bill during the infrastructure, basically insert it into the infrastructure bill so that when they vote for spending for budget in September, that bill can be part of it. But not everybody will be included. From what we read from the article, it looks like dreamers, essential workers, and some people, basically, when we talk about essential workers, more people are fit into that category of essential workers. So, and then it's going really to help And the way they're going to phrase it, they're going to make an argument talking about that if they allow people to get their paper, then it's going to raise revenue because, you know, when we file those applications, so they have to raise revenue. So because the money with all those applications, and remember with people who have been here undocumented, on top of the application fees, they'll have a penalty fees, and that's a way to raise revenue. So that's a good argument. It looks like it might work. I mean, at least something is going to happen this year, really, for sure, because if nothing happened this year, next year with the election, it's over. They're done. The Democrats will be done. So they better come up with some type of resolution. If it doesn't include everybody, at least a great portion of people. You have the same question as Miss Olu. What is Miss Olu question? I can't remember Miss Olu question. Just type your Babette. Just type your question, please. Please just type your question. I still have a couple of minutes because I don't know Mr. Olu questions. I can't remember Mr. Olu questions anymore. You can just type your question right there so we can answer it since we have a couple of minutes before we wrap up. Patel, will reform happen for undocumented people? Yes. If the undocumented people happen to be an essential worker, yes, because they're talking about putting essential worker into that infrastructure bill in September. So to answer the question, the answer will be yes. Kabibi Safir said thank you. You're welcome. Babette Kemfak, I don't see your question. I don't know. I can't remember Mr. Olu question. So anyway, so it looks like questions are over. So we are going to continue again tomorrow. If you didn't get a chance to ask your questions, you can also ask them tomorrow. I'll be here again, 10 Eastern time with different topics. We're still going to be talking about those news every day until Friday, every day with a different topic. Okay, today we talked about asylum, the new law, basically not really new, but reverting back to the old way of asylum to include domestic violence, gang members. So basically a social group belonging in a particular social group has been put back to light. And then we talked about the change in the address in I think what center? Sorry, let me see. Yeah, the Vermont Service Center has changed the address, and then we talked about Liberian people, they have to. USCIS has expanded flexibility on the way they look at evidence. And then we talked about September, whether those Democrats will do something. So thank you very much. I hope to talk to you again tomorrow with a different topic, but all questions are welcome. So if you think about the question today, you can come again tomorrow and ask the question. George, back for Jamaica represent. Yeah, Jamaica in the house. So thank you very much. Thank you. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.